What happens when temptation enters a house built on trust? In this gripping 5-chapter story, a man recounts the night everything changed while his uncle slept peacefully in the next room, unaware that silence can hide the loudest betrayals. Told from a raw and anonymous male perspective, this mature drama explores forbidden desire, secrecy, emotional emptiness, and the dangerous thrill of never being caught. If you're drawn to intense relationship stories filled with tension, hidden affairs, and moral conflict, this story will pull you in from the very first chapter. The silence behind his door. I have never told this story before, and if I am being honest, I never planned to. Some things are meant to stay buried in the dark, like secrets whispered through keyholes or soft footsteps in the middle of the night. I won't mention my name. I won't mention hers either. It is better that way. She was never caught, and that is why she remains anonymous. This is not a confession meant to destroy anyone's life. It is simply the truth of what happened. It began with my uncle. He was a respected man. Married for over 20 years. The kind of man who left for work at the same time every morning and returned at the same time every evening. A man of routines. A man of order. The house he shared with his wife was quiet, almost too quiet. I moved in with them temporarily after losing my job. I needed somewhere to stay while I got back on my feet, and he offered without hesitation. I remember that night clearly. The air was thick with humidity. The power had gone out earlier, so the house was warm and restless. My uncle had gone to bed early. He had an early meeting the next morning. I could hear the faint rumble of his snoring through the wall that separated my room from theirs. That was when I saw her. She stepped out of their bedroom quietly. Barefoot. Wearing a thin nightgown that clung to her skin in the dim hallway light. She froze when she saw me standing by the kitchen doorway, a glass of water in my hand. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I couldn't sleep, she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost breathless. I nodded, pretending that my heart wasn't racing. There was something in her eyes that night, something restless, something searching. I had always known she was beautiful. Anyone with eyes could see that. But that night, beauty wasn't the word. It was something deeper. Lonelier. She walked past me toward the living room. I followed without thinking. We sat on opposite ends of the couch at first. The silence between us felt charged, like the air before a storm. She began talking about how marriage changes. How routine slowly replaces passion. How sometimes you can lie next to someone for years and still feel alone. I listened. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have gone back to my room. But I stayed. She moved closer as she spoke. Not suddenly. Not obviously. Just a slow narrowing of distance. Her fingers brushed mine when she reached for the remote. Neither of us pulled away. From down the hall, my uncle's snoring continued. Steady. Unaware. That was the moment everything shifted. She looked at me differently. Not like a nephew-in-law. Not like family. Her eyes lingered on my lips before meeting my gaze again. And in that look, there was permission. Nothing happened that night. But something had started. When she stood up to return to the bedroom, she paused beside me. Her hand rested on my shoulder just a second longer than necessary. Good night, she whispered. The door to their bedroom clicked shut. I stayed on that couch long after, staring at the darkness, knowing that whatever line had existed before was now blurred beyond recognition. And my uncle, he kept sleeping. Unaware that the silence behind his door had already begun to crack. The first crossing. The next morning felt strange. At breakfast, she avoided my eyes. My uncle chatted about work, about traffic, about politics. Ordinary things. I kept my responses short. I wondered if she regretted the night before. If maybe I had imagined the tension. But when my uncle left for work, everything changed. The house felt different when it was just the two of us. Quieter. More intimate. I tried to busy myself with job applications, but my mind kept drifting back to the way she had looked at me. Around noon, she knocked on my door. "Can you help me move something in the bedroom?" she asked. My heart pounded, but I followed her. The curtains were drawn, the room dim except for the thin lines of sunlight slipping through. She asked me to help shift a small dresser. It was an excuse, we both knew it. The dresser barely needed moving. As I stood close behind her, guiding it into place, our bodies brushed. The contact lingered. Neither of us stepped away. She turned slowly. Up close, I could see the faint tension in her jaw, the quick rise and fall of her chest. This wasn't an accident anymore. This was a decision. "Do you ever feel stuck?" she asked quietly. I swallowed. Sometimes. Her fingers found my wrist. Not forceful. Just enough. What happened next was not rushed. It wasn't wild. It was deliberate. A slow surrender to something we had both been pretending wasn't there. When she kissed me, it wasn't innocent. It carried weeks, maybe years, of unspoken frustration. I knew it was wrong. But wrong has a way of feeling powerful when you think no one is watching. We didn't speak much. Words would have made it real in a way neither of us was ready for. Instead, there was touch. Hesitant at first. Then certain. The room felt smaller. The air warmer. And through it all, I kept thinking about my uncle, the man who had given me shelter. The man who trusted me. That thought should have stopped me. It didn't. When it was over, she adjusted her nightgown and looked at herself in the mirror. No guilt. Just a calmness I didn't expect. "This stays between us," she said. I nodded. She wasn't reckless. She was careful. Calculated. She knew how to erase signs. How to act normal. When my uncle returned that evening, she greeted him with a kiss like nothing had happened. He smiled at her. And she smiled back. That was the day the line disappeared completely. The secret routine. Days turned into weeks. It became a pattern. My uncle would leave. The house would grow quiet. And she would find her way to me, or I to her. It wasn't just physical. That's what surprised me most. She talked more now. About her regrets. About marrying young. About dreams she had buried. I became her listener. Her escape. And she became mine. We developed signals. Small things. If she wore a certain perfume during the day, it meant the house was safe. If her bedroom door was slightly open after my uncle left, it meant she was waiting. There was danger in it, and that danger made everything sharper. Every glance across the dinner table. Every accidental brush of hands when passing plates. But she was never careless. She deleted messages. Cleared call logs. Was always 2 steps ahead. My uncle never suspected. He trusted us both too much. Sometimes at night, I would lie awake and listen to him snore, knowing that hours earlier, I had been with his wife. The guilt would creep in then, slow and suffocating. But by morning, desire always drowned it out. She told me once, "He doesn't see me anymore." I didn't know if that was true. Or if it was just what she needed to believe. What I did know was that I had crossed into something I couldn't undo. And she had no intention of stopping. The close call. It almost ended one afternoon. My uncle came home early. We hadn't expected it. She had just stepped out of my room when we heard the front door open. Panic flashed across her face for the first time since this began. But even in panic, she was controlled. "Go to the bathroom," she whispered. "Now." She adjusted her hair, straightened her clothes, and walked calmly toward the kitchen as if she had been preparing lunch. I stayed hidden, my pulse hammering in my ears. From down the hall, I heard my uncle's voice. Casual. Tired. He mentioned forgetting some documents. She responded naturally. Too naturally. After a few minutes, he left again. When the door closed, I stepped out. She was leaning against the counter, breathing slowly. That was close, I said. She gave a faint smile. But not close enough. There was something in her tone that chilled me. Not fear. Thrill. That was when I realized something important. For me, this was temptation. Weakness. For her, it was control. She wasn't afraid of getting caught. She was confident she wouldn't. And that confidence made her even more dangerous. The ending without exposure. It didn't end with discovery. It ended with distance. I eventually found work in another city. I moved out. The day I packed my bags, she hugged me a little too long while my uncle stood nearby, smiling proudly at my new opportunity. She never looked guilty. As I drove away, I wondered if she would find someone else. If I had just been another chapter in her search for something she felt was missing. Months later, she sent one final message. Thank you for reminding me I'm still alive. That was it. No longing. No promises. She was never caught. My uncle still posts pictures with her, smiling, celebrating anniversaries. To the world, they are perfect. And I remain anonymous. Because some stories aren't told to destroy lives. They're told simply because they happened. And sometimes, the most dangerous secrets are the ones that never come to light. Secrets don't always explode, sometimes they live quietly in the shadows, shaping lives without ever being exposed. If this story kept you on edge, stirred emotions, or made you question loyalty and desire, make sure to engage, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful, mature storytelling. There's always another untold story waiting to be revealed, and you won't want to miss the next one. If this story kept you thinking, made your heart race, or stirred emotions you didn't expect, then you're exactly where you need to be. This channel is for those who appreciate deep, mature storytelling, the kind that explores the secrets people are afraid to speak about. Don't just read and leave. Share your thoughts in the comments. Was it temptation, loneliness, or something darker that drove them? Your perspective matters, and the discussion makes the stories even more powerful. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next intense confession or dramatic twist. There's always another secret waiting to be told, and you won't want to miss it. Disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction created for entertainment purposes only. All characters, events, and situations are purely imaginative and do not represent real individuals or real-life incidents. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. This content is intended for mature audiences due to its themes of infidelity, emotional conflict, and adult situations. Viewer discretion is advised.